And there we go. We should be live. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you happen to be located. Let me just go back to the chat a second. I've got David with me today, and David is going to help us create a listing, and he'll be walking through his first listing. So he's totally a newbie, and he's not had any practice, so he doesn't know what he's doing. And we're going to get through that, and we'll get the FNSKU because that is the most safest way to protect your products and your inventory in the Amazon system, is to have your identifier on it, not the UPC code. And then we'll create, just to make sure that Amazon is going to allow us to ship this product to Amazon, we'll create a really quick shipping plan. We won't go all the way through that shipping plan because obviously we're not going to ship this product. But we'll just take you through the steps, and that will just ensure that not only can you sell it, because you want to create a listing to make sure that you can sell a product before you talk to suppliers, or especially before you order, because you don't want to place an order or go through all of that time talking with suppliers and getting quotes and samples, spending money and time just to find out that you're gated from selling that product or that there's restrictions on that product. So this is just to ensure, that you can sell the product, but by creating the shipping plan, directly after, that will make sure that Amazon will allow you to send it in, because that's the important part. There's no point having a listing if we can't send it in. So good morning and welcome to David, and I thank you very much for volunteering to do this. So are you nervous?
A little bit. Good morning, everyone. And thanks for allowing me to do this. This is great. So yeah, it's my first time creating a listing ever, so it may be slow, and yeah,
we'll get there. So let me just say good morning to everyone that's in the chat. I am, and we've got Blue Square, which is Randolph. So good afternoon to Randolph, and good morning, Sav, and good morning, Aaron. And there's a few other people that are not talking, so good morning to those people as well, or good afternoon, whatever is the case. So, sir, do you have your Seller Central up and ready to run?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to you, and you have a UPC in hand, yep. And we'll rock over to Amazon if you want to share your screen. And then I'll just walk you through a couple of different ways to get to where we need to get to.
Okay. All right, they should be. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. If you have a look up on the top left-hand side of your Amazon Seller Central account, you should see the very first one will say inventory, and there's also an add a product. There's two places that you can actually add a product, and one is just from that very first drop down, and then the second one is from add inventory, or your inventory drop down, if you want to check that out.
So add product?
Yeah, see where it says catalog?
Yep.
So you can add a product there, or the next one across is inventory, and you can actually add a product from there as well. So it doesn't matter, they both go to the same destination, but this just gives you a couple of different options.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I wish I knew how to keep it on your screen so it doesn't keep coming back to me. I'm not sure how to do that. Anyway, so basically on this page, when you pull that up, you want to go down. There's a couple of different options there, but if you go down a little bit to type in what you're looking for, because you want to get the category of the product. If you don't already know the category, that's a great way to find where that product lives. So just go down a little bit where it says search for a product, and you'll see, put the category, the product in there.
Okay. This one here.
Yep.
Product name. Yep. So my product is LED candles.
Okay. Just put those in there. Unless you know where you want that product, this is just going to give you other categories that products are in. So this is just one way to do that. if you already know the category, you can just skip this part, but we'll just take a look to see what's in there.
Okay, searched and I came up with these.
Fantastic. So see how it gives you the categories over there? And this is where a lot of new sellers will make a mistake and they accidentally become hijackers, is that they will press on one of those listings because Amazon is actually asking you to find a listing that's the same as your product. So a lot of people will say, oh, yes, that's what I'm selling. You know, mine's a 4-pack of candles. You know, mine's LED. That's exactly the same size. Yes, sell mine. So they accidentally press that sell mine button.
Okay. So we don't want to do.
No, I'm trying to see if I can. Yeah, we don't want to sell anybody else's product. We want to create our own.
So create new product.
Yep. And there you go. That's it. So you're going to put in what your product is.
LED candles.
And this is giving you categories so that you can select different categories, and it will walk you through. So it might be in home and garden or home and kitchen, and then it will tell you like what the category, the subcategories are next to it if you have a look at that.
Okay. Would I need to put a keyword in? I'm getting so many different ones.
No, because this is only giving you the category. So this is what you're selecting here is like the categories there.
Okay, so flameless candle.
So this is your categories. So what you want is you want the category.
Okay, so I'll go for home and kitchen, home decor, candles.
Yeah, it's showing you there on the left-hand side a list of different places that you might want to use, but what you're looking at is somewhere that's like relevant to that product. So if you have a look back on there and then select one and then drop that category up in that top in your words where you've got LED candles, just put the category.
Oh no. Yeah. Didn't like me going back, so I'm going to have to restart it real quick.
Just refresh it, it'll. All right. Okay, so now your product ID, just do that little drop down to the left-hand side there. Oh, sorry, to the right, yeah. You're going to put in a UPC code.
Yep.
Okay, and this is where you're going to put your UPC.
I have one ready.
Good job. So this is, even though we're putting in a UPC code, Amazon is going to automatically, divert that into the FNSKU, which is what you'll give to your suppliers. Okay, so your product name, and you just want to put something. You don't have to put your entire title here. You just want to put a product, whatever the product name, 6-pack of LED candles, just LED candles, whatever it is, and then your brand name.
It's not the actual brand name, but it's the one I came up with.
That'll work. And then you're the manufacturer.
I'm the manufacturer.
Yep, you're the manufacturer. So, you know, if you had a company or the brand was a company, then you would just put that company in there.
Okay.
And for some reason, it's not letting you finish.
Okay, do I need to go to these other tabs? That one maybe?
Yeah, go to the offer. We were going to go across to those. Your price, all of these can be changed later, so it doesn't really matter. We're only just making this just to create the listing. So your seller SKU, that you can put something in there if you want. If you plan to sell, if you had a variation, you know, perhaps you had, you know, 2 or 3 different sets of candles, 6-pack, a 2-pack, a 1-pack, you could put something in there. If not, Amazon will just generate one for you. And then it's going to be new. Fantastic. Okay, so now you've got more information across the top. You've got your image and your variations. We won't do a variation, but if you go to more details across the top. So it wants a manufacturer's part number, so you can just make one up. Just put David's 123 or whatever. Whatever it is. And a model number is test. Maybe it's not liking those. Okay, so David, it conflicts with something else. So, oh, you just accidentally picked something that somebody else used. Okay, just put in some random numbers.
Right. Model number. Surely.
I don't know. Remove the word.
Okay, I'll just put in some numbers.
That'll work.
Yep.
I've never had an issue with that. But then again, I've always just put in what it is. So just remove the word test, David.
I think it looks like...
Maybe you need to put in a couple of numbers. Like, I don't know.
It is. Looks like it conflicts with the ASIN.
Huh. Okay. Just delete it back from like the 4, you know, 4, and leave that last 4 letters on there and numbers. Leave the last 4. Yeah, just delete that. Let's see if that will work. That's ridiculous. Wow.
What is the ASIN? What is this ASIN?
Yeah, that's the ASIN that it's going to give you, but this is really weird.
Do I need to change the...
Maybe put in candles 1 or something.
Okay.
It's really weird.
Do I need to try? I might try a different UPC code.
Yeah, because it's saying that it conflicts. You did the UPC, right? That is the right UPC, LED candles. Yeah, that should all be right.
I did get these off. So.
Huh. Oh, so you're saying the UPC could be wrong. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Those eBay UPCs.
Yeah, I think that's better. That's better.
All right. See, now we got the save and finish. I was wondering why we didn't get the save and finish. That was because you can actually save and then continue on with this at any step. So that's why I was, yeah, wondering why we didn't get the save and finish. Okay, so go over to offer, which you've already done. Just start at like the top and work your way across. So your offer is, your price is $25. It's new. It's LED candles. You'll need 1 image. So grab 1 image. It doesn't matter what the image is. You can grab something from your supplier. You can grab something from Google. No one's going to actually see this. Is anybody else following along with this before we get too far into it? So Randolph is asking, where do you get the UPC codes? For product testing, I just use the UPC codes from eBay, or, you know, they're eBay style UPC codes, which is Speedy Barcodes, any of those type of places where you can buy multiple UPC codes. Then that's what I use for testing. These are not GS1 codes. Even if the company claims that they were created as a GS1 code, what that actually means is that once upon a time, you know, company A was a GS1 registered company and they had all of these UPC codes. The company folded and now they're sold off all their UPC codes. So that's, you know, what they are. They were once generated as UPCs, but they don't belong in the GS1 system. So if you have a product, once you have a product that's up and going and you plan to stay with that one product, then you want to get the GS1 UPC codes that will be registered to your company. So it'll be registered to that product. So when anyone types in that product, it will say, you know, David's LED 3-pack of candles, and it's owned by David's company and all of David's company details. So that is what a GS1 barcode does. Okay, so as you can see, like we just had issues, the UPCs that David purchased have been used by somebody else. That's why we couldn't progress on. So let me go back.
Does anyone want to do one of these UPCs? They can grab one.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get a lot cheap. So if you buy 500 UPCs from eBay and they cost you $5, even if you can only, use 100 of them, it's still not a bad deal. Just keep in mind that some of them are already used. So once you have your one photo up, then if you want, you can go across to more detail.
Yep.
And up the top, click on Advanced View on the right-hand side there, David. Because what we're looking for is the description, and that won't come until you have the Advanced View. So go back up to the top and you'll see description.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is where you put your features in, and where it says key product features, these are your bullet points. Okay, so underneath that you'll see add more. If you want to add more bullet points, you just hit that add more and it will give you another bullet. So each line is one bullet. So to save a listing, to have it up ready to sell, you do need at least one bullet and a very small description. So if you just want to write something in there, David, that for your first bullet, it doesn't have to be, fantastic.
I just stole this on the listing.
You borrowed it.
I mean,
you borrowed it. Okay. So that's your first bullet point, and then just underneath that you'll have product description. So you will need just a tiny little bit of a product description that you save to a file. There you go. And you don't need any warnings. There's nothing about the warning on there. So that's basically the main information that you want to just save the listing. If you go to, just to check to make sure that you can sell this product, if you go over to more detail, okay, in this one, just as a note for anyone following along, this is where you can have issues with your product dimension, because in here you've got your shipping weight, item dimensions, and different aspects that apply to the particular product. And some people put in, if you scroll down, David, you should see the assembled dimensions. And some people will put in the assembled dimensions. Like if, let's say you had an art easel and it compacted up and folded into a nice little box that was, 10 inches long by 12 inches wide. And then the assembled you know, the actual product dimensions end up being, you know, 2 or 3 foot high, and then, you know, all of a sudden the seller is getting these excessive Amazon fees, and generally it's because these dimensions in here are incorrect. So you want to make sure that you have your actual shipping dimensions in here for the package to be shipped. Because, yeah, see how that says item dimensions, item length, item width? So a lot of people will put in what those dimensions are once the product's assembled and, you know, together. Yeah, you want to just make sure that you have the actual shipping dimensions in. Now, if you do go ahead and put the item dimensions in, which is fine, that's what will show up on your Amazon listing. It will automatically go in there under what the dimensions are and what the unit weighs. So you have different unit counts as well. Like your unit count can be done in different metrics. It could be centimeters. You could be buying a meter or something. You could be buying a 6-pack. You could be buying, you know, different rolls of material. You know, whatever that volume happens to be. So you can click on that unit count type and put in there exactly what it is. So like yours is a 3-pack, right, David? So you could put a 3-pack. So you could just do count.
Okay.
It's just there, yeah. And then the unit count would be 3. So you would get 3 candles per packet. So, I mean, these are things that you can have a look at later on. Just go through at, you know, at your own leisure, go through what these are. And then see there you've got packaging dimensions. You want to put the packaging dimensions on, and that is actually what you're shipping to a customer. So make sure that it's in the correct format. You don't want to be putting in feet when it's, you know, 25 centimeters and you've actually put in 25 feet. So make sure you click the correct dimension. So select something and then, yep, centimeters, and let's give it a however tall it was. And this is where your fees are calculated from, guys. So don't overestimate in here. Make sure you put some, you know, some good numbers in that are actual. There you go. Your in-point destination, you don't have to put that in there. Amazon doesn't really care where you get your products from. It's American customs that require you to have the made in China, the same as Australian customs. Most customs around the world always require the country of origin is on all packets that enter the country, or on all products entering the country. So basically that's it. So once you, you know, you've got, this is just a bare bones basic listing where, you know, just to get that FNSKU number. So you can save that, David, and everything should save. It should all be good and you won't have any asterisks up the top. Was that too fast, Sav? Was that a little difficult to go through? Yeah, I think I made it so that David's screen is consistently on. So I hope that's helping people. Sorry, you still have to listen to me talk though. Okay, so yeah, your listing is being created and it can take a few minutes. It generally doesn't take that long. So just hit the continue button. And there it is. So now your listing is here, and if you look over to the left-hand side of the, sorry, all the way over to the right, I'm going the wrong way here. Yeah, see the little edit drop down on the right, far right-hand side? Okay, in there, you can re-edit this listing. You can go back and you can recreate all the description in there. You can make it, you know, look all beautiful. You can upload your correct images once you got approval. You know, you can go through and you can change everything that's in there, including the UPC. Once you get once you get the GS1 UPC code, you can go back in there exactly like this and just go where the UPC was and just change the UPC and save it. It's as simple as doing that. We might have to give it a minute because the labels aren't there just yet. You can also, on the bottom of this drop down, you've got advertised listings, so you can do PPC from there, and you can go up. You can also close the listing. Now, this listing will not be active until there's inventory, so no one's going to see this listing. Okay, David, if you scroll all the way back to the left-hand side, and if you do your little check mark in the box where it says, yeah, okay. So from here, that check mark up the top where it says action once selected, there's a drop down there as well. Okay, this is your secondary drop down, and this basically has the same options, but there's a few more. You can also advertise your listing, you can close the listing, and then this is where you're going to send products from. But if you notice in there, it says print item labels. So they're already created. So now they'll be in the drop-down window for the edit one as well. They're in both locations. So everything that's under here is also under edit. Okay, so if you press print item labels, this is our FNSKU. And this is how hard it is. Okay, so it might not be ready yet. All right. So we'll just have to wait on that. So click on the listing itself and let's see what it looks like. Just, yeah, yep, the listing ID. There it is.
Cool.
Currently not listed, but it's there. And is there any other information with it?
That's it. It's very simple.
That's it. Just very simple. Okay, so it doesn't actually have the bullet points not loaded yet, and the description's not loaded yet. So yeah, we can't really do much with that. But does anyone have any questions so far up to that point? Because I'm just waiting for this listing to get its labels ready. And if you want, guys, you can always go back to and, you know, just play this video out and play it slow and do your own listing step by step. If anyone needs a UPC code just to have a practice run, let me know. I have a whole lot of them, so I'm happy to share them out for you to have a practice and do that. So what else, guys, do you want to have a look at while we're in this? So Randolph's asking, where are the print item labels? The print item labels are in that action selected button that David was on. And if you go all the way over to the right-hand side again, under the edit, let's see if they're there yet. Under the edit on the listing, they're generally there. Oh, you didn't make this to fulfilled by Amazon. Whoops. See there in the middle where it says change to fulfilled by Amazon? How did we miss that? I don't know. Yeah, just change it to fulfilled by Amazon and it will just take a minute. Just press convert only. And do the dangerous goods information. That'll just be batteries, and just say no and no. Just click on the words. Yep. And then just say no and no, and then submit. Save and continue. Okay, so maybe that's why we didn't have labels. Okay. So let's go back. Are we to our inventory page? Just manage, yeah, all inventory. And there it is. So yeah, you can click the little check mark next to the listing, which says suppressed. I'm not sure why. It might take Amazon a little bit. And then you just press this drop down window, and then you just hit the one down the bottom there where it says print item labels. So you hit that and this window will pop up, and right in the middle there, it's going to tell you this is a 30 label and this is the dimension of them. And over in the the right hand side, it says print 1. Okay, so you've got one label. That's all you want, because you just want to give this label to your supplier or to whoever is doing your labels. So print the item labels, David, and it'll be a file to save. Just press OK and open up that file if you can. And there it is. So now you have this is your FNSKU. It looks like a barcode. And then what you can do is crop this. If you want to, you can leave the LED candles on there with the new, or you can crop this off so that you just have the barcode and your AEST number underneath of it. Okay, and then what you do is you ask your supplier, where it says LED candles, ask them to put made in China, because it's just somewhere that, you know, you cover that step of having the country of origin on your product, and it's just a clean place to get that out of the way. So that there is your FNSKU that you will send to a supplier or send to anyone that's designing your packaging. Send it off to them and have them put that item on all of your products. You can also pay Amazon 20 cents per label to do that. But if you're sending in quite a lot of units, that does add up very quickly. So, you know, most suppliers will put that on there for free. And if you're having packaging design, then it's, you know, obviously free to have that slipped into the packaging design. So is there any questions on that? That's really easy, right? I mean, yeah. So go back to your inventory page. So now we have our FNSKU and we've put it on our units. Okay. So you can either from the drop down, like go over to that drop down on the right hand side and click on the units again. Gosh, I got my left and rights back the other way. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can use either one. That's yeah, totally fine. Whichever one. That one works. Okay, on the drop down, you're going to send and replenish inventory. Now, this is how you start and create a shipping plan. Okay, so we're going to send stuff to Amazon, and these will probably be case packed because they're coming from your supplier. So select the case pack. And now you have to put in a from address up there. See where it's got the ship from address? You have no address in there yet, David. So you need to just put a either your address, an address up the street, some address that you know that's not going to be linked to you. Don't put your own personal address. Okay. So
it's going to have to be at US.
I was going to say here, I'll give you a Walmart address here. Yep. All right, 300 Clinic Drive, Hopkinsville is the city. Hopkinsville. And the state is Kentucky. I just pulled up the local Walmart. And the zip code 42240. Ship from this address. Yep. Okay, so when you're putting your supplier in there, obviously you're going to put your supplier or wherever it is you're sending inventory from. If it's from your house, if it's from a prep center, wherever it's coming from is your ship from address. So, you know, your supplier will get that. Generally, your supplier will do all this anyway. So use case packed products. Yep. And continue the shipping plan. And they're going to ask you how many cases you have and how many units per case in the middle of the grey bar. So units per case will be, let's say 10. and we're sending in 5 cases. There you go. And then, yeah, they're just going to ask for packaging weight. But generally speaking, if you can get this far, you are good to sell your product, because they won't even allow you to get this far if you can't sell your product. So this is basically as far as you really need to go with creating a shipping plan. So because this is asking here, because we didn't put in the dimensions of the actual product when we created the listing, now it's asking us how many pounds for the unit, because they're wanting to work out how much storage space you're going to require. So please provide the weight of the product from the manufacturer in its original package. So just put 1 pound.
Save.
Yep. Okay. So this is it, guys. If you can get this far, I mean, we could go a little bit further, but you really don't need to. This is all you need, is just basically approval to set up a shipping plan, to make sure that you can sell your product. If you can get that far, the next 2 steps are just putting in the actual carton dimensions, and then it's going to tell you where this product is being shipped to. So, and then you approve it. So once you approve it, so you can keep going if you want, David, or you can stop there. That's totally up to you.
So any certificate you need will come up.
Yes, any errors that you've made along the way will come up. If you can't sell the product, if you're restricted for any way, it will come up straight away that you cannot ship this product to Amazon. That will be on the very first page. Yes, this product cannot be processed through Amazon FBA. You know, sometimes the issue might be that you didn't create an FBA listing, you created an FBM listing, so that's one thing to check on. Generally speaking, though, if they restrict you, it's because the line that you're wanting to sell in is a restricted line, and you can't send to Amazon. If things have chemicals and stuff like that, you can still sell them FBM, because you're taking care of that product at the house or at a prep center or somewhere else. Amazon is not responsible for that chemical or poison, batteries, that type of thing, because, you know, under the law, they have to know exactly what's in their warehouse. They can only keep so much flammable, explodable stuff within their warehouse. So that's why they're very tight on it, because there was a fire in UPS in Florida last year, and, you know, they didn't have very good maintenance over what was actually in the facility. So when the fire crew got there, you know, no one knew what was actually located anywhere. So they got really hard on all of the warehouses, and Amazon cracked down as well, because they also had a smaller fire. And this is just to ensure that, you know, workers' safety, the population safety, and product safety. So they need to know what's in these products. So that's why sometimes they'll give you a hard time about selling FBA. So Randolph's asking, can you put the supplier's address in the ship from? Yes. If you're shipping it from your supplier, and generally speaking, what will happen is you'll do 2 steps. It's a little bit confusing, but if you're shipping from China, for instance, then you would put your Chinese supplier's address in there, and you would go through, and you're just going to get the box labels, okay? You're not actually going to buy shipping. You're just going to get the box labels. So you're going to give them to your supplier in China, and when they pay for the shipping, they put those Amazon labels on the box, and that way Amazon knows what's coming. If you're just shipping it from, you know, somewhere in America directly to Amazon, then you would put that, you know, prep center's address, your own address in there. Wherever that product's coming from, you would just put that in there, into that, yeah, ship from. Okay, sorry, I was reading that. Okay, look at that, it's going to Kentucky. I love this warehouse. If anyone ever gets this warehouse as a ship to warehouse, you know, ship it to that warehouse. I send stuff there. It arrives within a day, and it's in stock the next day. So it generally takes 24 hours and it's live. And they are really good. some warehouses are really slow or, you know, exceedingly busy, but that one's to be not so busy. I love that warehouse. So basically we've gone through all of the way here. David's got all the way up to accepting this shipping plan, and from here he would just submit that work on shipment and then, you know, enter the dimensions and the cost of it and then ship it. This is the end of the shipping plan, and you can select UPS. If you have a preference for a different carrier, there's a drop down in the middle if you had a different carrier, and you want to pick small parcel delivery. Unless you've got an entire truck full of pellets, it's always small parcel delivery. Even if it's like 50 cases, it's still small parcel. So that's it, David. You've gone all the way through creating a shipping plan. But like I said, if you're just doing this just to get approval to make sure that you can sell this product on Amazon, don't go this far. All that you want to do is get to that first step where you enter in your cartons, and then, you know, get that approval from Amazon to go to that next step. And then that's all you need. You can sell this product and you're good to go. So there you go. I know this was a dummy product and you're not really going to sell it.
Yeah.
So I thank you so much for doing that, David. And was it hard? Like, what was confusing for you?
It wasn't really that confusing, but it was just a learning process for me. I'm sorry, I'm hearing you. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So does anyone have any more questions that involve going back into that listing? If not, I can just answer the questions here. No? Okay. So, all right, you stopped sharing your screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So any address will do. Absolutely any address will do. You can put anything in there as long as it's a real address, because Amazon will not allow you to ship from a bogus address. You know, they do have metrics and they do have a database that has every address in there. If you try to make something up and send it from, you know, to Kangaroo Street, then it's just not going to go. So make sure you do put in a real address. If you don't actually have an address and you're trying to get, say, information to send to a supplier, because some suppliers will say, where are you sending it to? Okay. The only reason they're asking you that is because they need a zip code. They need a zip code in America so that when they ask the shipping company, they can say to the shipping company, it's going to this zip code. So look up a Walmart, look up an Amazon warehouse, any Amazon warehouse within the United States, and just say, you know, somewhere around here, and I'll let you know later the actual zip code. So it's not going to change much. Your shipping price, you know, the bulk of your shipping price is going to come from China to America, not actually depending on what state it is in America. That whole bulk of it is the initial shipping. So where it actually lands doesn't really play a huge big deal. I generally try and give them an address somewhere in the middle of America. That way, if it is trucked in from, you know, if it lands in California and it has to be trucked into Tennessee or something like that, then, you know, it's not very much of a difference. And generally, it's only, you know, $20, $30 difference between the zip code I gave them and the actual zip code I'm going to use that Amazon's told me to use. So Amazon will tell you where they want their products. You don't have any say in that. You can change your settings to select one warehouse, but they do charge you an excessive fee for that. So it is worth doing if you're shipping from China and Amazon says we're going to send to 4 different warehouses, and you're going to send it here, here, and here. Now you have 4 different shipping plans coming in from China, right? So that's, you know, a huge expense. In that situation, it is worth changing your shipping settings within Amazon and just change it so that you're only going to one warehouse. Okay, so just and then once you've got that shipping plan, though, you want to go back in there and change your shipping settings back to go to anywhere, because you don't want to continually pay for that service after you've, you know, used it. Does that make sense? And we can show you where those settings are too if you needed them. So IAM says, how do we find an Amazon warehouse? Just Google them. There's one in every state. Some states have 2 or 3. I think Tennessee has 4. Kentucky has 2. So just Google it. Everywhere has one. The majority of the shipments I've found that come in from China generally go to Texas or California. Yeah, that's where mine tend to go, but they can go anywhere. And like I said, Amazon can say, you know, they want 10 cases here and 10 cases in New Jersey and another 10 cases in New York. So you just have to check that. Now you can, you know, open up that shipping plan a couple of different times just to see where that is going to be shipped to. And if it's not somewhere you like, then, you know, just close it out and then start again a few hours later and see if they're going to ship to somewhere different. That's, you know, one way to take a look at it. So how was actually setting up the listing, David? Was that, I mean, that pretty straightforward, apart from the glitch with the UPC code?
Yeah, no, it was easy, I think. Coming up with descriptions and that is going to be another thing altogether.
Yeah, you can do that. You know, if you collect all your keywords and you just put your keywords in a database and then you know what keywords to work off, and then you can just work around all of those, you know, different words that you want to incorporate in there as you are going through those listings. So, you know, you just put all those keywords in there, check them all off, make sure that you got that word in, that word in, that word in. Yeah, and your bullets are more important than your description. But, you know, you definitely want a good description, especially for other, you know, other information that pertains to the listing. I'll put this copy down. So does anyone have any more questions on that? We've got a couple of minutes and then I'm going out to dinner. And David should be going to bed. He got up at 4 o'clock this morning to do this for us. So again, I thank you so much for that. This is really fun. And it was better now that I know how to set that video so that it wasn't on my voice. You can just get a spreadsheet, go into all your competitors and just copy and paste all their descriptions and, you know, work out what it is that you want to say. Sort those out in a word sorter so you can see how many times this word's been said, how many times this word's been said. Work out what keywords that you want to incorporate that in, and then, you know, just put that over and, you know, use those words in order of how often that they are the search terms, you know, the keywords. Your most keywords, you know, you want them to rank first and then, you know, work it all down. So that's one way to do it, just by copying all your competitors' bullet points and descriptions and just going through, make sure you cover anything that you want to cover. And after you start checking it off, it kind of just all flows together anyway. So you can do it that way. Works out really good. So how close are you, David, to having your product up?
I did have a product in mind, but then I did a bit more research on it and decided that it was a bit expensive to start with. So go back to the drawing board, back to the fine stage and looking for something that fits better for my situation.
It does take a while, you know, like that time of when you first start, you know, and I always tell everyone the best thing you can do is once you get to a certain point, just go back and start again, you know, just refresh your mind, go back through the training, because the more you can understand that training, the more you have a really good knowledge of that training, then the more successful you're going to be, because as you learn more, everything starts to become just, you know, familiar. Like words that you're not used to hearing, DDPs and MOQs and all of these words are very foreign when you first start out. But then as you go on, they just start, you know what they are. So everything starts to make more sense and everything, you just comprehend so much more as you go on. So by going back and starting again it's like starting the first time, but with knowledge. You know, like starting the first time over, but knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're doing. But that's the hardest part right there, is actually to learn it. So, and giving yourself time to say, you know, I don't know that. Give yourself grace to say, I have to figure that out more. Yeah, because you don't want to pretend to know something or think you know something and you really don't, because if you make a mistake, it's going to cost money. You know, this is a business and businesses are run on money. So mistakes are expensive and we don't want those. Absolutely. Okay, so I think we've got everyone covered. I think we just did that too well.
That's what we're about, efficiency.
Efficiency, that's what we're about. Efficiency. So if no one has any more questions, dinner at 10 a.m. No, it's 5 o'clock where I am. It's 5 p.m. Friday night. So I am Australian, but I live in America right now. So I am half American, half Australian. Well, no, fully Australian and partly American. I don't think you can give up the American. And David is a Kiwi with a cute son. Hello.
This is Tahu, my eldest.
G'day.
He's just waking up, ready for breakfast.
Oh my gosh, Saturday morning, ready for breakfast. Oh, because you're over the other side. So Tim Tam.
Chocolate.
Is that Tim Tam?
Chocolate.
Oh wow. Are you ready for Santa?
So he gets into that every morning now.
Oh my goodness. He is adorable. I think my daughter would love him. All right, guys, if you guys have got nothing else, we're going to wrap this up. David's going to go and have breakfast, and we'll see you all next week. Oh, hang on, someone else has got one last question. Should I set up my business as a sole trader or a company? What would you recommend, David?
I would say a company in the long term. But what I done is I set up with a sole trader because it was just easier to get going. But I think the idea is to have a company because you're less liable personally as a company. But whereas if you're a sole trader, you're personally liable. So that means your house and all your money in that would be taken away if you were to have a lawsuit brought up against you.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I started off as a sole trader or a sole proprietor, and I moved over to a company just because I didn't want that liability. Not only that, you have more tax write-offs too if you're a company. You know, you can write off your phone and your gas and your tires and your car and this and that, and you know. But yeah, you can just dump everything on your accountant and say, you know, go for it. So whatever it is that you can start off at, then I would start, and then, you know what it is, the direction that you want to go, depending on where you're going to set your company up, because some states in America, if you're in America, they're not very expensive. My state was $45 to set up a company. So, you know, I couldn't justify being a sole proprietor when it was only going to cost me $45 to be a company. You know, so it just made a lot more sense for me. But thank you, everyone, for your questions. And I thank you again, David, very much for coming on and doing that. It was awesome.
Thanks, Amanda. That was very valuable.
It was wonderful. It was fun. And anyone can go back now and have a look at that. If they don't know how to create a listing, go and watch David create one. So, and you know what's good? We actually make mistakes as we went along. So now if people have those mistakes, then they know, you know, to go back and do that, especially the UPC. Being a bad UPC, that was a good one. So couldn't have planned that any perfect. So I'll see you all in Facebook, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys. Later.